Hi folks, in this video I'm going to go through the basics of how to solve a Sudoku puzzle. As best as I can, I'll describe my thought processes and exactly what I'm looking for and try to explain exactly what I'm doing. So, to begin with, if you want to learn how to do Sudoku puzzles, I would recommend that you pick ones that are from newspapers or magazines that have a prize. And the reason for that is because they're going to be the easy ones. Because the people want as many people as possible. The publishers want as many people as possible to get the correct answers. So therefore it's going to be an easier puzzle. Because generally, people like myself who do the hard Sudoku puzzles probably get through this in a couple of minutes. So they want everyone to be able to get it solved. So if you want to learn, go out, get a cheap women's magazine or TV Times or, as I say, a newspaper, and look for the prize Sudoku, if they have one. So basically, what you're looking for is in this 9x9 grid. The 9x9 grid is separated out into this sort of axio noughts and crosses pattern, where each of these 3x3 grids are going to contain the numbers 1 to 9. Okay, so every 3x3 grid have the numbers 1 to 9. Then each column, the whole way down, each and every column is going to contain the numbers 1 to 9. It'll only appear once, since there's only 9 available spaces. And the same with each row. So generally, the easier the puzzle, the more numbers that they'll have to begin with. Whereas the harder puzzle, there really will be a lot less numbers given to begin with. So that's enough waffle. Let's have a look at this puzzle here. So there's a couple of ways way back whenever I first started doing Sudoku puzzles, back when they first became popular about 10 or 12 years ago. And I'd go through every square looking for the 1s and the 2s and the 3s and the 4s and so on. So that's one way you can do it. You're trying to get as many of the 1s out of the way as possible, and try to fill in as many of the 2s and so on. But sometimes it's just a matter of just seeing where the patterns are. So let's begin. So if you look into this bottom middle box, we have 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. I always like just to put the numbers in numerical order, but we need 1. And if we look in this column here, we already have a 1, so this can't be a 1. And then we already have a 1 in this column, so these two boxes can't be 1. So therefore the only place that can be 1 is there. So now let's see, what else do we have in this box? Well, sorry, what else we need in this box is 4. We're going to need 2, 4 and 8. So we have 4 up here. So if 4 can't be in this box or that box, the only other box it can be is there. So that leaves now 2 and 8. So now looking across the rows, 2 is already on this bottom row, so therefore that can't be 2. So 2 is up here. So that's your 8. So now we have this bottom middle box all filled in. So now you can just look around the puzzle. Sometimes spaces will pop out, or there's a box you'll just see you can scan across and be able to figure out very quickly. Or if not, you can just pick a certain line, either horizontally or vertically, and then go from there and work out which numbers are required. So, following that, if we look here at the second row from the bottom, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8. So we need 6, 7, and 9. So we don't know anything there because this could be 6, 7, or 9. This one could also be 6, 7, or 9. But in this box, it can't be 6 or 7 because they're already in that column. So therefore, that's for 9. As for 6 and 7, we don't have enough information so far. So now, using what we just found out, we can look up this box here, because we can see these two columns have 9. So this here, and this box here in the top right, these three boxes can't be 9, and these two boxes can't be 9. So now this has to be 9. And then now, looking down this column at what we need, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 6 and 7. So okay, so these two are 6 and 7. So now we try to figure out where they'll go, if we can. So if we know in a column where which numbers are needed, we then go to the rows going across to see if there are any help. So this is 6 and 7, and we see this row has a 6, so therefore that can't be 6. So that's 6, and that's 7. Okay, so now the last two numbers required for this box, we have 1, 2, we need 3 and 4, and we already have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So these are 3 and 4. As I said, so these are two numbers from a column. So let's look across at the rows that incorporate into them. So we need 3 and 4, but 3 is already in this row. So we know that's not 3, so the 3 will be up there, and that's our 4. So now, looking at this bottom row, so we're trying to find the rows that have as many of the individual cells filled in as possible, because that's really going to limit what our choices are. In fact, never mind this bottom row, the row above that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, so this has to be 7. And then back down to the bottom row, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, so we need 5 and 6. So these are from a row, so let's check out the corresponding columns. So we know these are 5 and 6, and we see here's 6 and 5, so 5 and 6 are going to just be the reverse, the vice versa. So that can't be 6, so 6 is over here, and that will be our 5. So let's see, in this box here now we have 1, 2, 3, we need 4, 8 and 9. So we know in this row, let's check out what we have, what information we can find from the columns up above. So we need 8. Now this column already has an 8, and this column already has an 8. So our 8 goes there. And as for 4 and 9, we don't know, because the columns don't give us enough information. So you just move on and look other places in the puzzle. So let's see. In this box here, this 3x3 grid, we need 3. So looking across the way, this this row already has a 3. So we know these cells aren't 3. And this row has 3. So we know these cells aren't 3. And there's a 3 in this column. So therefore that cell isn't 3. So if they're not 3, they're not 3, and that's not 3. That's now our 3. So now, sometimes you spot something and you come to a dead end. But you put it in, and as I saw before, sometimes you find an answer and you just go boom, 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 and figure everything out. Sometimes you'll just see something, you put in the number, and you just come to a halt. But that's okay. At least you're making progress. So what next? Let's have a look at this column here. Okay. So this column here, we have 1, 2, 3. We need 4, 8, and 9. Now, so this cell, and this cell is 4, 8, and 9. But these two cells can't be 4 because this 4 is already in this box. So if they're not 4, that's our 4 up here, which leaves us our 8 and 9. So 8 and 9 are in this column. So let's check out what information the rows give us. So we know this is not going to be 9 because we already have a 9 here. So that's our 9 there, and so that's our 8. So now let's see. This row here, we need 2 and 3. So on this row, we're looking for the answers for this row, so let's check out what the columns will give us. Well, we need 2 and 3, and this column here already has a 3, so now we know that's not 3, so that's our 3 over there, so that's our 2. Now, what next? Let's look at this middle box. So we have 1, we need 2, we know that's not 2 because of this 2, but we don't know where it is in there. So for now we move on. We have 3, 4, we need 5. Well, we know 5 isn't in here because of this 5, but we don't have any information in this column or this column where the 5 would be. So again, we move on. Next up we need 6. Well, we know 6 isn't in this column because it's down here. So that's not 6, and that's not 6. So that's 6. So now let's go back again. So we knew that we needed 2 and 5. So we have 5 over here. So that's not 5. 5's down there. And that's our 2. And then now working down this column, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. So that's our 8. And then let's have a look at this top middle box. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 5 and 7. But we don't know anything because the corresponding rows don't have a 5 or 7. But that's okay, we'll just move on and look somewhere else. So let's look here now at this row. We have 1, 2, 3, we need 4, 7, and 9. If we look at this cell here, so this row needs 4, 7, and 9, but we know this cell can't be 4 or 9 because they're already in this box. So therefore, that's our 7. So now we know over here, these two are 4 and 9. So we check our corresponding columns to see what information they'll give us. Well, we have a 9 already in this column, so that's not our 9. So that's our 9. and that's our 4. So now let's check out this column here. We have 1, we need 2, but we don't know where that'll be because we have no 2 in these 2 columns, 2 rows, sorry. But we also need 7, and we do have a 7 in this row. So if this is not 7, that's our 7, and that's our 2. So let's look at the rest of this box up here. So we need 1. That's not 1 because of this row, but there's not a 1 in either of those rows or columns, so we don't know where else they would go. We have 2 and 3, we need 4, but we have no 4s in either this column or that column, or any of the 3 or any of these 2 rows, so again we don't know where 4 goes. 5 and 6. So let's see. We have a 6 in this column, so this isn't 6, so 6 isn't there. We have a 6 in this row, so 6 isn't here. So now we know 6 goes up there. And now going back again, we needed 1 and 4, so we have 4 in this row, so we know that's not 4, so that's our 4 down there, and that's going to be our 1. And then now looking down into this box here, we need 1. We know this isn't going to be a 1 because of the 1 in this column, so that's our 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 and 9, so that's a 7. And we're now at the point now where we're just finishing them off. This box down here, we have 1, 2, 3, we need 4. We just check both columns to see where 4 is. So 4 is in this column, so that means it'll have to be in that one. 5, 6, 7, 8. So that only leaves us with 9. So then let's see, this row here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we need 6, so that's our 6. And now it's just a matter of taking your pick. Let's see, this box here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we need 5 and 7, so these are the column, this is the column, so we check the corresponding rows. Well, we have a 7 here, so that's not 7, so that's our 7, and that'll be the 5. Now let's check this top row. We have 1, 2, 3, we're going to need 4 and 5, so this is a row, check the columns. Well, we need 4 and 5, so 4 is already in this column, so that's not 4, so that's our 4, and that's our 5. We also need, for this box here, we need 1 and 2. So looking down at the corresponding columns, we already have a 1, so that's not 1, so that will be the 1, so that's our 2. And then finally for this box we have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so that's 2 and 8. Well, we already have a 2 in this column, so that's not 2, 2 will be over there, and that leaves us our 8. So now we can look around and just check. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could check them all if you wanted to. But believe me, there's not very much more annoying than finishing a Sudoku puzzle and suddenly finding 2 numbers in the same box, or like in the same wee 3x3 grid that are the same. Okay, let's move on now to a slightly harder one. So this one, as I said earlier, will have less numbers given to you to begin with, and it's going to require more logic, but we'll see how we get on. So, just looking across, the first thing you do is you just scan the puzzle. You're just looking for patterns, you're looking for numbers that are going to jump out, and no matter the difficulty of the puzzle, there's always going to be at least one or two to begin with that are obvious, that will help you get on your way. So, what I see here, this row has a 5, so that's not 5, and this row has a 5, so that's not 5. So this box here, this cell, has to be 5. Now carrying on from that, sometimes you just be able to carry on, keep using the same numbers over and over. This column now has a 5, and this column has a 5, so these three cells aren't 5. So then looking across the ways, this row already has a 5, so that's not 5, which means this cell here is going to be 5. Now, this column here, just have a wee look. This column here has six of the nine buttons, 6 of the 9 boxes already filled in. So let's see, what do we need? We have 1, 2, we need 3, 7 and 8. So these 3 cells are going to be 3, 7 and 8. And if you look at this first cell, this row already has 3 and 7, so we know that has to be the 8, which means this and this is 3 and 7. Now this cell here, we don't have any information because there's no 3 and 7 either in the column or the box or the row, so we move on to this one. But we already have a 7 in this row, so that's not 7, so that's going to be the 7, and this is going to be our 3. Next up, this box here, this 3 by 3 grid, we have 1, 2, 3, we need 4, 8, 4, 7 and 8. So let's look across the way at the rows. This row already has a 7, so that's not 7, and this row has already got a 7, so that's not 7, so that's going to be our 7. And the other numbers I said were 4 and 8, but we don't have enough information to figure that out. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Okay, in this column here, in this box here, we need a 7, but we see this column already has a 7, so it takes out all these 3 boxes, the possibility of being 7. And then in this box here, this column already has a 7, so this can't be 7, so therefore that has to be our 7 down there. If possible, try to wipe out as many boxes as you can of options. It'll just make things a lot easier. So that's now our 7. So following up what I just said, this 3 by 3 box here needs a 7. All these 3 can't be 7 because of this row. That can't be 7 because of this row, which leaves us these 2 cells. But this cell can't be 7 because of this 7, so therefore that's our 7. So let's see, we have 7, 7, oh, there we go, one more. So now this box up here, this 3 by 3 grid needs a 7. So this row already has a 7, so we know that's not 7 and that's not 7. So that's our 7. So now we have 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. So that's all the 7's gone. So now in this box in the top right, we have 1 and 2 and 3. We need 4 and 9. So this is in a row, so let's check the corresponding columns. We need 4 and 9. this column already has a 9, so that's not 9, so that's our 9 there, and that's our 4. Right, so that's not done. So now it's just a matter of looking for another number that'll pop out at you. This row, this box here, we need a 1, but this row here already has a 1, so these two aren't 1, these two cells aren't going to be 1, and this row already has a 1, so that cell's not going to be a 1. So the only cell remaining is there. Let's see, now here in this box we need an 8, so this column already has an 8 down here, so these cells aren't 8, and this column already has an 8 up here, so these cells aren't 8, so that's our 8 over there. Let's see, this row here we need 2, 3 and 6. Well, we know this cell isn't going to be 6, both because there's already 1 in this column and 1 in this box. This cell isn't going to be 6 because there's a 6 up there, so that's our 6. So now, looking across this box here, we have 1, 4, 5, 7, 9, so we need 6. These two cells aren't going to be 6 in this row because there's already a 6 in this row, so 6 has to be up in these two. But 6 is already in this column, so we know that that's not 6, so that's our 6 there. So next up, let's see, in this column we have 1, 2, we need 3 and 8, but we don't know enough to know where they are, but we do know that these are 3 and 8. So by deduction we can figure out what the other number is, because if you put 3 and 8 in here, you only leave one box remaining, so we're going to have 1, so this has to be 2. So let's see, let's check out this row, this middle row. We have 1 and 2, we need 3 and 8. Well, this column here already has an 8, so we know that's not our 8, so our 8 is over there, and we already said that this is going to be 3 and 8, so that's now our 3, and then so that'll be our 3 over there. So now this box only has, this grid only has 2 cells remaining, and they are 2 and 9, so we know that this can't be 9 because this row already has a 9, so that's our 9 up here, so that's our 2 down there. And then finishing off this row here, we have 1, 2, we need 3, so that's our 3. These are 2 and 8, but we don't have enough information in the corresponding columns to be able to fill anything in. So next up, let's try this column here. This column we have 1, 2, 3, we need 4, we need 5, and we need 9. And there's not enough information in any rows to tell us anything, but that's okay. We can just go along, find somewhere else. Let's see. Okay, this row here, we need a 9. We have 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. We know this cell can't be 9 because there's already 1 in this box. We know this cell can't be 9 because there's already 1 in this column. And we know this cell can't be 9 because there's already 1 in this column. So therefore, that's our 9. So what else do we have? So this row here needs 1, 4 and 8. And we don't have enough information, so we have to move on. Okay, so let's try this column, this row here. We have 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we need 1, 2, 4 and 9. And sometimes you just get stuck, but you just stick at it. Okay, so let's see. I think we did this. Do row? We have 1, 2. We need 3, 5, and 9. No, not enough information. So the 6s are all gone, the 7s are all gone. Let's have a look at this top row. Even though we need 4 numbers, we need 2, 3, 5 and 8. Okay. And this video is going so well. But this is, as I say, this is a live video. I'm not going to make any edits to it. Okay, so sometimes what you need to do is to remove certain options whenever you get stuck. These 2 numbers aren't 2 and 3 because of this column, and these 2 numbers aren't 2 and 3 because of this row. So therefore we know these 2 numbers are 2 and 3. Does that help me in any way? No, it doesn't. But it does. Because we know these 2 numbers are 2 and 3, but we also need a 1. And we know these 2 numbers aren't 1 because of this column. So if that's 2 and 3, and that's not 1, then that is 1. So now, looking across this box here, this cell isn't 1 because of this row. These 2 cells aren't 1 because of this row. And this cell isn't 1 because of this column. So therefore, that's 1. So now, in this box here, we have 6 and 7, so we need 1. These 3 cells aren't 1 because of this number. These 2 cells aren't 1 because of that one, so 1's in here. Look at the corresponding rows. That's not 1 because of there, so that's our 1. And then just to get rid of the last one, we know these aren't 1 because of that column, and we know these aren't 1 because of this row. Therefore, that's our 1. Now we said down here that these were 2 and 3, so we have 1, 2, 3, so these are going to be 4 and 5. Looking across the information we have, this corresponding row already has a 4, so that's not 4, so that's our 4, and that's our 5. Looking at this, finishing off this column, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's our 9. Let's look at this row. We have 1, 2, we need 3 and 9. This row needs 3 and 9, so we'll check the corresponding columns. Well, this column already has a 9, so that's not 9, so that's our 9, and that's our 3. So this box now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, we need 5 and 8. The columns tell us nothing, but the rows, this row already has a 5, so that's not 5, so 5's down here, and that's our 8. Finish off this row, we have 1, 2, 3, that has to be 4. Finish off this box, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's our 8. So next up, this box in here, we need 2 and 8. So check the corresponding columns. This column already has an 8, so that's not 8. So that's our 8, and that's our 2. Check the corresponding column, or just finish off this column. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be a 5. Check out, finish off this row. We have 1, we need 2. But we already have a 2 in this column, so that's not 2. So that's our 2, 3, 4. There's no 4, so that's our 4. This 3 by 3 grid needs a 4. Corresponding rows. This row already has a 4, so that's our 4. 1, 2, so that's 3. Check off the top row, we have 1, we need 2 and 8. So here we have already got 8 in this column, so that's our 8. And that's our 2, 1, 2, we need 3 and 9. This column already has a 3, so that's our 3, and that's our 9. And then down here we have 2 and 3. This column already has a 2, so that's our 2, so that's going to be our 3. There you go. Sometimes you will get stuck. Sometimes, and even the easiest of puzzles, or the puzzles that they tell you are easy, I get stuck. And I've completed hundreds, thousands of Sudoku puzzles, and sometimes you just get stuck. Okay, so next up we're coming to a hard puzzle. Stay positive, Kevin. Okay, so sometimes with the hard puzzles, the first thing, they actually sometimes give you quite a lot of information in one area, like this, but then very little information in the others. So, as I said, there's always something easy to get us started. This box in the middle here, we have 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. We need 1. This column already has a 1, so these aren't 1. And this row already has a 1, so these aren't 1. So that's our 1. Let's check out what else this box needs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 5, 6, and 7. So these 3 boxes are 5, 6, and 7. But we see this column here already has 5 and 6. So that's our 7. And then this column, check out the corresponding rows, we need 5 and 6. This row already has a 5, so that's our 5 up there. And that's our 6. So now, let's see. This row here, we have 1, 2, we need 3. Well, that's not 3, because there's already a 3 in this column. So that's our 3. Now we need 8. So this has to be 8. Now let's check out this row. We need 2. Well, that's not 2 because there's already 2 in that box, so that's 2 over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's our 6. Now let's see, can we finish anything off here? 1, 2, 3. We need 4 and 9. So in this row we have 4 and 9. So we check our column to see what corresponds. We need a 9, but 9 can't be in here because it's already in that column. So that's our 9, and that's our 4. Over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 5 and 6. Check the corresponding columns. Well, we already have 5 and 6, so it's going to be the other way around. So that's our 6 and 5. So I can tell that's basically as far as it goes for the easy stuff. Now it's just going to be a matter of staring at this until you see something that's going to help. If I wanted to keep this in real time, this could be a very long puzzle, very long video. Let's see. I'm just not seeing a whole lot of patterns here. It's almost a case of it is, isn't it? The puzzle is exactly, this top bit is exactly symmetrical to the bottom, but I know from history or reading something that normally these sort of symmetrical puzzles are kind of easily solved, but unfortunately I don't know how.